Hello. So I thought a bit about how I wanted to make this video. So yeah, I'm just gonna do a casual lay down video. So I'm just gonna be talking about my experience as biracial, a bit about biracial experiences in general. I kind of want to get into the nitty gritty. Um, yeah, I'll probably do a couple videos on this. So I was born in St. Paul, Minnesota. I'm a 90s kid. I grew up in the burbs. I grew up not far from the rural area. I moved around a few times as a kid. So my earliest memories are watching cartoons, 90s music, taking the metro with my mom, going to parks, going shopping with my mom, visiting with relatives. I didn't think much of being mixed race. I think it came up a couple of times as a child. They weren't the most positive thoughts. Like, I remember looking at a picture of my parents. I was 4 or 5. My mom is Polish, and my maternal great grandmother was Italian. So I was looking at the picture and thinking, my mom is pale, fine, blonde hair, dark blue eyes. My dad is black, and he was very dark. I thought it was bad somehow. Like, I always got the sense that my mom was with my dad for rebellious reasons. It did not make me feel validated. I didn't think much about it, but it was a dull, subconscious feeling I held for many years that would pop up every once in a while. My parents were born in the 70s. They were pretty young when I was born. We lived in apartments in my early childhood. We didn't have a lot of money, but I always had lots of toys, lots of birthday and Christmas gifts, and we got a pet dog when I was 7. My dad worked a lot. My mom would take different odd jobs throughout my childhood. My dad is a nice man. He worked hard to provide for me and my mom. I was their only child. He worked 12-hour days. At one point, 16-hour days. My dad, he liked the outdoors and stuff. We would go hiking, fishing, and yeah, he would like to watch like those nature documentaries of like how the different species of animals lived in like Africa or Canada. Yeah, I got into watching that with him. So yeah, it was neat, seeing the landscape of Africa and, learning about the different species and such, and like Africa, Canada. My mom was more temperamental when I was growing up. She was kind of glamorous. She liked Marilyn Monroe. She had some issues with depression. She had anorexia when she was younger. But we had a lot of good times, going window shopping, visiting with relatives, celebrating holidays, watching TV shows. Like, I remember watching Unsolved Mysteries, and we watched a show. It was called The Wonder Years, I think. My grandfather, my mom's dad, was very strict. He grew up with a very strict Roman Catholic Italian mother. And my grandma, my mom's mom, was more easygoing. So, yeah, my grandfather, my mom's dad, he had high expectations for my mom. He wanted her to go to college and have a career, where I think she was happy with more menial work. I think she wanted to get into like the celebrity world or something like that. So yeah, I think that caused, kind of a rift. I used to kind of wonder, like, I didn't put much thought into it because I was a kid, of course, but I would wonder, why is my mom with my dad? Like, for some reason, it didn't seem like a genuine relationship. They were happy together sometimes, but I felt the relationship was over by the time I could remember. You know, the stereotypes of why white women get with black men. I think there's some truth to it. That's the sense that I've gotten. You know, how you hear about some biracials, they feel like they were used as a pawn in some personal agenda that their parents or one of their parents had, like some sort of political statement, you know, that the kid might end up not being into at all, you know, that might make them resentful, you know. Like, for me, I don't really feel like that situation was one way or the other. Maybe somewhere in the middle. Like, my mom seemed to like the one drop rule. Like, she would relish in it a bit when she was telling me, like, she wanted me to be her black child. Like, as a child, I never really related to being black. You know, I kind of felt like an outsider as far as race. And, you know, second of all, it's not even accurate, you know. My skin color is, you know, there are white people, there are Asians, there are Middle Easterns with my skin color, you know, so yeah, I didn't really feel like the term black fit, you know, and I would think like African American, but we don't call white people European Americans, so yeah, I just didn't understand what was wrong with me just being mixed and being biracial. So, yeah, it kind of pissed me off when I was a kid. I don't know if she did this because she thought it was best for me, or if it was because she bought into the one drop rule and whatnot and really believed in how that's how it was, or if it was some fetishizing thing, which is more of what I got a sense of what it was. But yeah, I never played into that. I was just myself. Um, for some reason, I sensed she wasn't that impressed with that. Maybe she thought that she wasn't raising like she wasn't raising a black child how a black child should be raised, and I wasn't turning out how I was supposed to turn out or something like that, you know? Like, my mom seemed to view blackness in like a one-dimensional way. Like, I remember a couple of times she would do or say something in you know, a stereotypical black way, like expecting me to jump in or something like that. But yeah, I wouldn't play along. I just looked at it as if it was odd, honestly. But yeah, I never talked to her about these sorts of things because I feel like it kind of put her in a poor light. But yeah, you know, as for other family, on my dad's side, uh, so yeah, he had 6 siblings. So yeah, I have a lot of cousins on my dad's side. But yeah, we would visit, you know, once in every blue moon. And I remember them trying to be welcoming. Um, I have a lot of cousins on my dad's side, so yeah, I remember them, you know, being really warm and kind. But yeah, with the adults, it was a little bit different. It was like a coldness, you know. I don't know why. I don't know why that was, but yeah, there was just a bit of a coldness. Yeah, I don't think they were that happy, all that happy with my, some of them anyways, with my dad getting with my mom. But, yeah, with my dad's family, they were in the dark skin range with the adults. One of his sisters was a bit lighter, and then one of his brothers was kind of like brown, like dark brown. But yeah, some of the kids, they were more like brown, or there was a couple that were even closer to like light skin. So, but yeah, I never thought anything of their skin color. Like, to me, it was not something that garnered any attention. So on my mom's side, she has one sister, and she has one son. He's about 1 year older than me. We grew up together basically. But then my grandma is one of 15 other siblings. And then my grandfather had 3 other brothers. So yeah, I have a lot of extended family that way. So yeah, as far for them, again, my grandma is like the most stereotypical grandma, very fun loving and everything. And then yeah, the rest of the family is, they're very nice, they don't cause any issues. It's just I feel like there's a coldness, it wasn't very warm, you know what I mean, for the most part. So yeah, I don't know why that is. Maybe my family is just, they're not very emotional, they're just kind of cold. But yeah, we got together with the family for holidays, weddings, shindigs, family reunions, and yeah, I definitely enjoyed and had a good time. So when I started school, 5 and 6 years old, I didn't think about race at all in school. I think I remember it coming up once. I was filling in a census of some sort, and it was asking race. I asked my teacher to help me. I don't remember, how it was laid out, if it was just where you could select one thing or you could select 2 things, or there was like other. But yeah, I don't think it had like biracial or multiracial or something like that. So yeah, I don't quite remember how that went. But yeah, that's the only time I recall thinking about race. And yeah, that wasn't a negative experience really. The other thing, I recall is, how in elementary school they'll have you draw your family or whatever. I don't remember having, thinking anything of that, I just drew, my mom and dad normally. So yeah, everyone acted like I'm the same as them. I felt the same as everyone else, and I felt the same for all of the other kids. The school I was at the time, it was predominantly white. Like, I think I remember there was one black girl in my kindergarten class, and then in first grade I remember one Hispanic girl, one black girl. Yeah, it was mostly white. I loved elementary school, the teachers, the things we were learning. I was a straight A, goody goody two shoes. I made friends with everyone. I was in dance classes. I started playing flute. I love the little friends that I made. I dreamed a lot about the future, being an adult and everything. I was a happy kid, and yeah, I would get home, go outside and play with the neighbor kids. We would listen to Britney Spears. Then my mom would be making dinner, and I would come home for dinner. Then we get ready for bed and watch something on TV. So I moved once in elementary school, and this was second grade. And then I moved again. That was for middle school, and then I moved again. That was before I started high school. So by middle school, I started to get a bit of anxiety. This anxiety would set in more as the years went by. I started to have self-esteem issues. I don't think it was directly related to me being biracial, maybe indirectly. So by middle school, I started to become more self-aware. I started to become more self-conscious about my looks, about how other people thought about me. Even to this day, I have like the worst like social anxiety and social awkwardness. I'm still like, what is it? It was a bit daunting to me to figure out where I belonged. I didn't make a lot of friends in general by middle school and high school. Everyone had their cliques, and I was treating it like it was easy to make friends, like it was for me when I was in elementary school. Eventually, I gave up trying to fit in everything. It no longer appealed to me by the time I was like 15. And yeah, I made a couple of friends that I was happy with. So by high school, I moved again. I was still trying to make friends. I was still trying to fit in. I started to become a bit more aware of race when I never really thought about it in depth that much. And, I kind of forgot about this, but yeah, when I started high school, I was looking around at the other students. Um, I've always, when I was growing up, I've always lived in predominantly white areas, but yeah, there was a handful of minorities. So, yeah, in high school, I was looking around, and I never really thought of, other mixed people, you know? Um, when I was a kid, the first mixed person I remember seeing was Mariah Carey. I saw her music videos. I thought she was black because, again, I had my mom telling me I was black. It kind of repelled off of me, but I think I've kind of, internalized being told, what black was, even though I protested it. Things just didn't, they just didn't click when I was younger because I didn't think about them that much. But yeah, I remember seeing Mariah Carey, and I related to her a lot because I felt like she was, pretty ambiguous looking, but I thought, oh, she's black, So yeah, I related to her that way. I also had a friend when I was really small. Her name was Michaela. So yeah, she was a couple years older than me. She was black. I saw her as black, but she was she was like a light brown. She had the coloring of like Vanessa Williams. I would say she had blue eyes, and yeah, but I never thought of her as mixed. I thought of her as black, but thinking back, when I thought about black people, I didn't really see them as separate from white people. The only other thing was in fifth grade, we got a new student in our class. She was very light. She had creamy white skin, and then she had like reddish brown hair. I thought that she was biracial like me. I thought she was the same thing that I was. So I don't know where I picked up what mixed was in between that time. I think maybe one of my, cousins must have mentioned something like that on my dad's side. But yeah, I went over to her at recess and I asked her, "Are you mixed?" And she said, "No, I'm Dominican." So yeah, Dominicans are a mixed group of people. So yeah, I was probably right. And what I thought, I just thought she looked ambiguous like I did. So yeah, I was looking around my new school. I noticed some Middle Easterns, some Hispanics, um, a few Asians, a few black people, But then I noticed, a couple of mixed looking people. I never really met, other biracials, you know. So, yeah, there was this biracial girl. She was a couple grades older than me. She had the quintessential biracial look. She had, the skin tone that everyone tries to tan to. She had sandy brown hair, blue eyes. So, yeah, to me, she was obviously biracial because, usually when black people have this sort of coloring, they don't have obvious Caucasian facial features and structures, which she did. But yeah, she was very pretty. She had kind of like a mean girl look. But yeah, I later found out that, she was indeed biracial. She had a white mom and black dad. And then there was another biracial girl. I think she was one grade older than me. But yeah, again, she had the sun-kissed skin, and she had blonde hair and brown eyes. She had like a bratty kind of look. Still very, she was still very pretty. But yeah, it got me kind of thinking. And I forgot about this, but yeah, I do remember now. I was thinking like, why am I this pasty color, you know? And why do I have, these dark features, this dark hair, dark eyes? Why don't I look like how a biracial is supposed to look? And I started thinking like, oh, I need to look like how they look. I need to have, tan skin, and I need to have lighter hair. So so yeah, that was, an insecurity that I had at the time. It didn't last that long, but yeah, I do recall that thinking back. And I saw how they were like the black friend, that even though they were biracial, you could still tell that you could tell they were biracial or, black. And there was also these two other girls. They looked really similar. They were sisters. They were either twins or they were like a year apart. I don't know if they were biracial or if they were light black. But yeah, they were, the popular black friend as well. So yeah, I didn't really get that sort of treatment. I don't really think that people knew what I was. At the time in high school, no one really asked me anything like that. But yeah, I felt like really plain. I felt like I was really plain looking. I didn't feel pretty, at that time. But yeah, I don't really have many pictures. My mom doesn't like having her picture taken. She didn't really take pictures of me after I was, after I was a certain age. I think like 7 or 8 or something. Like I don't have many pictures of myself from when I was a kid, and I wasn't really into social media until about college age, but I deleted it all anyways because it's not for me. I didn't like it too much. But yeah, I thought that I was plain looking, but yeah, I think that I'm cute. I think I'm pretty. Not because I'm biracial. I just turned out that way. But yeah, as the year progressed, I made a couple of friends. I got into Evanescence. And, she has black hair, dark eyes, matches the dark music. So, I embraced my dark features and my skin tone. It matched who I was, I felt like. And yeah, I got into like the punk, goth, emo scene. I made a couple of friends from there. I made one friend, her name was Sarah. She was white. Another friend, her name was Heather. She was white. They were into the punk, emo thing. So yeah, end of high school, thinking about getting ready to go to college. I grew out of, the goth, emo, punk thing. I started thinking about guys, because in high school, I was just focused on my schoolwork, trying to be the best I could be in running and band and whatever it was I was doing. And yeah, I was usually pretty up there. But yeah, I wasn't into guys in high school, even though I had, raging hormones. So yeah, college, young adult years, I'm out of the little towns I grew up in. I'm in the big city. I started experiencing things I never did before regarding race. Fetishization, stereotypes. And I started having people questioning me, what are you? So, yeah, growing up, I never felt like I was black. I never felt like I looked black. Moving through high school and into college, I thought maybe people could tell that I was biracial. But I felt closer to the white phenotype. But yeah, I started getting people guessing that I'm like Arabic or Middle Eastern. I was like, oh, okay. So yeah, in my college and young adult years, I wanted to learn more about my identity and embrace my identity. I think growing up, people around you start to become more cognizant about race and differences between people. I don't think people can really understand, unless you've been in my shoes. I never really felt like I was white or black. I always felt like I'm very much an outsider to everything. And, growing up and leaving childhood, I started to feel like I have a connection to everyone, but no one at the same time.